Hi everyone, welcome back to Pamela's Passion for Pencils. I wanted to continue with this color along that we're doing in my Facebook group today and do some of it with you and discuss some of the thought process that goes into it when you are working with a limited color palette and how I kind of think through things and decide what colors I am going to lay down onto the page next. As you can see here, I did this house and I finished it off camera, but I did a lot of it in the last video where I just added music to it and sped it up, and it was more of a peaceful set to music type video. I have found that a lot of you enjoy those videos closer to bedtime because they are more relaxing, and it helps me to be able to fit a lot of content into one video because it takes me a lot longer to actually color it on camera rather than putting everything together and speeding it up so you guys can actually see the process. So if you look at this house, and you can see that I did like orangey browns with a little bit of the cream for a highlight in the roof. And then I came back in and I used my marine green and my, let me see, or pale sage. That's pale sage and marine green I used there. I put in the marine green and then I just kind of pulled it through with the sap light, and then here where I wanted the most highlights, I added in some cream. So after I finished the roof and had these colors laid down in the roof of the house, I decided that I wanted my house to look a lot different or really stand out. I didn't want my house to be kind of all the same color scheme. My plan is to do this area here and the door and bring the colors that I used up in here into this part of the house, making the purple in the house really stand out. Now if you look at this, I made sure that I added highlights where I would want to see them in the house. I didn't follow any rules. Like I always tell you guys, I don't like to follow quote unquote rules when I'm coloring. Like I'm not thinking, okay, the light is coming from this side of the page and it's going to be shining down here and this is where the light would be on the picture. I don't really follow all the rules. I really like to kind of break the rules actually when I'm coloring, and I like to do it to what is going to look good or satisfying to my eye or for when other people look at it. Now down here, if you look at it, where these flowers are, I wanted the flowers to really stand out. So I didn't in certain areas color that closely to where the flowers are because I just wanted them to kind of have some light areas around them to sort of frame them from standing out from the house. Now normally in most situations, if you wanted to show that something was in front of something else, you would come in here where these flowers are and you would do darker shading in here to make it look, you know, to create more depth, to make it look like the house was behind. So again, I broke the rules and I didn't do that. I did it in some areas like where the mushrooms are, but I didn't do it everywhere. So let's go ahead and move on from that. I'm not thinking I'm going to work on the house today because I may do that in another video, but I wanted to kind of share the thought process with you. Let me zoom you in a little bit here. I wanted to kind of share the thought process with you that goes into, like, for instance, these mushrooms. These mushrooms here on the page are all in front of the house. I want them to stand out and I want them to be different from the flowers that are here that are probably further behind the mushrooms. It looks like the mushrooms are to the front, and then we have the flowers, and then the house is even further behind that. So like I said, we don't necessarily have to follow any per se rules, but I still want my mushrooms to stand out, and I plan on making sure that I create highlights in the mushrooms when coloring them, and I shade them properly so that they look appealing to the eye. Now, let me see here. I'm going to show you all on camera the thought process that goes into this. As you can see here, I already have swatched out some colors that are in my color palette. Now, we're working with a limited color palette because, like I said before, if you're just stumbling across this video because it came up in a search or something on YouTube, or it was suggested to you, we are doing a color along in this book, Johanna Basford's World of Flowers, in my Facebook group. I'll have the link for the Facebook group down below in the description, just in case you would like to join us. It's not too late. You can still join us. I've had a lot of people come into the group, and when I see the requests, I have questions, and I see a lot of people saying that they did find the group from my YouTube channel because they watched a video, which is fantastic. I am so glad to have you in the group. Let me go ahead and show you. Okay, so now let's go ahead and swatch out some colors here and see where we're at. Now, I want to have a dark color, and then I want to have kind of my medium base color, and then I want to have a color where I could add a highlight so that the image on the page really has that pop effect. So here is the darkest color I'm thinking of, and this one is mahogany red. So I laid down a little bit of that. You could see that I already did it over here, but I wanted to do it again and kind of show y'all how they blend in so nicely together. So if I pull some of this mahogany red down with this, what is this, nectar, you can see that they have a really nice blend. And if I actually go over, let me get more in frame here, if I actually go over the mahogany red, it actually changes the color, and it makes it a really pretty tone for these mushrooms, I think. Now, if I come in with my highlight color, which I have Deco Peach in my color palette that was originally chosen. If you want to see how I chose my color palette, I'll have the link to that video in the description so you could see exactly how to choose your colors when you were working with a limited color palette. And I did a very thorough, detailed, in-depth video on that with you all so that you could see how I did that and kind of follow along and be able to choose your own colors from the palettes. The palettes were chosen by me, and we chose 2 different pages. We also did a page, or are doing a page, in Lost Ocean, and so there is a separate palette for that one. But here is how the Deco Peach lays down. You could see that these 3 colors lay down together really nicely, and I think that it's going to make a really nice color for the mushroom. And the other thing is that I'm working with a very limited palette, so I don't necessarily have all the colors in my palette that are contained in the color wheel. Like, I have strictly no blues in my palette. If I remember, I will insert up in the corner of this video here what my actual color palette is and the pencils that were chosen, but you'll see that there are no blues in my color palette. So I really can't go opposite of what oranges are to make something pop, and blue is not necessarily a color that you would naturally see in a mushroom. So let's go ahead and try these on the mushroom and see how this looks. I do want to say that these are not necessarily complementary colors to where the mushrooms are going to stand out too much, but they are just going to look what we would call, if you were looking at the color wheel, we would call those harmonious colors because they're kind of next to each other. If you look at the color wheel that I have here, let me zoom you out a little bit. Okay, so if you look at this color wheel, the colors that are kind of next to one another are what we call harmonious colors. And so if you kind of look at these colors that I have here that I just swatched, they are kind of more over here in this area and down in here. This looks a lot like this nectar. It has a lot of purple and kind of mauve tones to it, but then we also have our peach, which has more orange in it, so it's up more in this area. And then this mahogany red, I mean, we're on this side of the color wheel with the blend of these three colors and what they're going to create together. And if you look at my house is purple, and so these are still in the same area. You could see that we have violet here, and the purples that we used kind of fit right in over here. So the colors are kind of next to one another, so they're actually harmonious colors. Now, I don't necessarily want to use the complementary colors, which would be colors like, let me show you here, contrasting colors would be colors that are exact opposites on the color wheel. And so those colors, if you put them together on your coloring page, they would really stand out and pop because they are on opposite sides of the color wheel. So let's go ahead and start these mushrooms together. I think they're going to look really pretty with these colors because I am probably, in these leaves that are over here, I am going to do a little bit of green in those. And I'm thinking on these leaves with the green, I may want to put a pop of peach on the insides of these. But we'll see what happens with that. Let's see how the mushrooms look first and go ahead and do those mushrooms today on camera. So right here, where this meets with the upper part of the mushroom, I am going to come in with my mahogany red, and I'm going to make that area darker. And I'm just going to put a little bit of it in there. And then probably a little bit more so in here where the leaf is actually meeting the mushroom, because the mushroom is actually behind the leaf, if you could tell by looking at the picture. So I want it to be much darker up in here, and then I'm going to come in with my next color and I'm just going to kind of pull it out. So my next color is Nectar. That is my medium color or my base color. And I'm going to just kind of go over this mahogany red and kind of pull down into the mushroom. And then I'm going to pull up from here. Y'all have to let me know what you think in the comments, but I think these colors give a really nice blend. I think they look really pretty together. And you know, some of the colors, when you do a limited color palette, you will find that you will start experimenting with other colors and putting them together, because you're so limited that you almost have to kind of be a little bit daring and not be afraid to mix colors that you have never tried to get a blend from before. And that is what is so much fun about using these Prismacolors, is that there are so many new discoverable combinations that you can use and, you know, come up with. I share a lot of those combinations when I come up with new ones that I really love. I will share them in my Facebook group. So if you're not already in the Facebook group and you want to see lots of different color combinations and you love your Prismacolors, check the link in the description and come join us. But I'm just coming in here. As you can see, I do color pretty slow because I'm not really sure. Like, I have an idea in my head, and this is exactly what I wanted to show y'all and why I wanted to do this on camera, because I wanted to show you that it is a thought process, and I want you to understand that you're not always going to know exactly what you're trying to do or what you want the end product to look like when you first lay your colors down. Now down here, I'm thinking that I'm not going to do it very dark because I want the under part of the mushroom to be a little bit darker. So my darker shade is going to come in here when I do the underneath part of the mushroom, because I want to create a little more depth here. So, you know, like I told you before, I do like to break the rules, but I don't always break the rules. But if you try to always follow rules while you're coloring, then it kind of takes the fun out of the experimentation part of it and just being able to relax while you're coloring. I'm just coming back in here and I'm adding a little bit more of this mahogany red. Oh, this is looking really nice. I still don't know what color I'm going to go with here. So I really like how this is looking so far. Now I am going to come in with my Deco Peach because I just want to see how this is going to look when I blend this one in. I'm using kind of a medium pressure now on this blend because I'm trying to get a little bit of that burnished look. If you don't know what burnishing is, it's where you take your lightest color and go over what you've colored and make it, I guess I would use the word flatter, make it look flatter to kind of hide some of the white in the paper. I tell y'all though, this is my absolute favorite color, probably out of all Prismacolors right now. This and my other favorite that has been a favorite of mine for a very long time to do highlights is the cream. I don't like how my hand creates a shadow on the page. I hope that y'all could see exactly what I'm doing, but look how pretty that is. I think it is. I think it's looking fairly nice so far. I'm going to come back in here with my darkest shade, my mahogany red. And I'm thinking I want a little bit more darkness over here. See how I just kind of go really slow until I really know what I want to do? Because I'm still kind of at that point where I'm really not sure what what exactly I want it to look like yet. And so that's why I wanted to do this video for y'all, because I wanted to kind of discuss it and talk with y'all about the thought process that goes into this when you're working with a limited color palette, or even not even necessarily with a limited color palette, just when you're blending colors together and you're initially trying to see where you're going to go with whatever the object is that you're coloring. Because see, I'm even coming in here and I'm making it even darker than I thought I would originally, but I'm really liking how it is looking so far. So I'm going to come back in here with my nectar, and we are going to kind of blend that in. Again, we're coming in here and trying to get rid of some of that white. Now, like I showed you before, when you come in over with the nectar, it kind of calms that mahogany red down a little bit and changes the color of it. This is one of the things you can do when you are blending. It's one of the ways to blend. You can either blend your colors together and create a blend of 3 different colors, or you can come in and you could blend by layering one color over another, and you can create a completely different color. There are so many different things you can do with these pencils, and maybe I'll make a video on the different ways that you can blend and give you different ideas. If you're interested in that, just let me know in the comments, and I will do a video like that. Okay, so I think now here where this leaf is in front, I think that I probably need to add a little bit of this mahogany red over here, but I don't want too much. Let me turn it this way. Yeah, sometimes I just need to be quiet for a minute and not talk about what I'm doing, because it kind of helps me to concentrate a little bit better. But I think this is going to be a really helpful video for y'all, because it kind of just shows you the thought process that goes into it while you're laying your colors down. And if you just go slow and don't be so anxious to get everything down on the paper right away, it makes it so much easier. But see, now I kind of have an idea, so I'm going a little bit faster. Now I'm actually seeing it in my mind the way that I imagine it to look in the end. So I'm going to come in here with my Deco Peach, which is again my highlight color, and I'm going to blend a lot of this out. Now see, you can tell that I probably don't have enough pigment down on the paper for parts of this to be pulled out, and I will have to come back in with another color here. And I just got a fabulous idea that I think I'm gonna try. Okay, y'all, I'm gonna grab my cream and I'm going to come in with my cream. Yes, look at this small little cream pencil. And I am gonna go over here where I have a little bit of this empty space here, and I'm going to highlight this mushroom even more. And then in here, you can't be afraid to try new things, or if you think, oh, I want to try this, and oh no, that's not going to work. Be a little bit daring and just try it, because I have come up with so many beautiful combinations that way by doing that. Now see, this is kind of burnishing all the colors together, but I'm still feeling like I'm looking at the mushroom and it's still kind of light to me. But in these books, in these Johanna Basford books on this paper, you can get quite a few layers down in there, so don't worry. I'm going to come back in now with my nectar, and I'm going to come down here where I told you before I wanted to kind of keep it light in here because I want to be able to go darker underneath the mushroom. And I'm getting more ideas. I'm thinking that the little dots on this mushroom, I think that I'm going to use Stickles for those. If you don't know what Stickles are, let me show you. These are Stickles, and they are just a very opaque glitter glue, and I like to use them on a lot of things when I'm coloring. They are my favorite to add detail with. Okay, so I'm going to grab my peach here, and I'm going to come down in here where this is meeting, and I am going to go over this because, like I said before, I want to keep this kind of light in here. I don't want too much of that nectar in this area. So I'm just kind of trying to give it a really good blend. And I'm going to take this peach and I'm going to kind of go through the whole mushroom to burnish it a little bit more. But I think it turned out really pretty so far, and I'm hoping you guys understand the thought process that goes into it when you're coloring something. It's always good to think ahead too, like especially when you have a limited palette. It's always good to think ahead about how you want the page to look, even in the end. Even when you're picking your colors to go with your palette and you're picking out your pencils, always make sure when you're picking your 3 pencils for each color on the palette that you have a highlight color and you have your medium base color, and then you've got a dark enough color for shadowing. There should be a big enough contrast between your 3 colors to make one thing on your page or each individual item have enough depth and enough highlights to make it look the way that you want it to look when your eyes look at it. Now see how I came in at the end and decided to add in that cream even on top of the peach? So like in this one, I've got two highlight colors, which that's okay. Because this peach is a really great color to blend in some of these darker colors or to place over them. And the cream really worked where I wanted a little bit of extra highlight. But I really like how this looks. Now I'm going to show you what I was talking about in the underneath part of this mushroom. I don't want to make this video go too long. I just wanted you all to understand the thought process that goes into this and how to lay down your colors when you're coloring. But here we go. Right here, this is underneath. So we are going to make it look like it's underneath when we lay these colors down. So this is going to be the darkest of my colors. And see how there are lines in there? So I want to make sure those lines really do stand out. You see, I haven't decided yet what color I want the stem of the mushroom to be, so I don't want to put too much of this color in here because I may go with a different color for the stem of the mushroom. But I will figure that out later. I probably won't do that in this video because I'm quite sure that this video is already pretty long. And if y'all knew how long it takes these videos to upload for you guys, it takes probably a 30-minute video. If I make a 30-minute video, I'm waiting for it to upload for probably 2 to 3 hours. Just looking at it like, come on. Okay, so if you're wondering, this is my nectar. And I'm just kind of pulling that color down. I don't want to use too much highlight in this area because, like I told you before, I want this to be darker and I want it to stand out. Now look at that. See the difference? Now see, I'm using hard pressure now when I'm pushing down on my pencil because I really want a lot of that pigment to come down on the paper. Okay, so now we're going to come back in with the nectar. And then I think I will add a little bit of the peach. Just to kind of burnish it. But look at that. Let me turn here a little bit more. See, I'm looking at it and thinking that I might need to... Oh, here we go. Let's grab this other color from my palette. This is dark purple. And I am going to use this since it's in my palette and it is even a darker shade than that mahogany red. And I'm going to be a little bit daring and add this in here. And look at that. You see what that did? That added even more depth. And I'm gonna come in over here. Let me turn this a little bit so y'all could see. Now see, look at the difference. Let's come over here and do the same thing. I may even do the spots in the mushrooms with this color. I'll have to show y'all later what I decide to do. But yeah, I think that looks really good. Oh, and now I'm getting more ideas. See what happens? I'm gonna come in here with this. Oh, look at that. Look how much more depth that creates when I add that dark purple up there. Now do you see what I mean about the thought process? Because you can always come back and add in what you didn't originally think you were going to do. Look how much depth this adds. And now I am going to want to come down here back with this mahogany red after adding it under that leaf to kind of pull it through a little bit. And look how it makes that leaf actually look like it is behind. Isn't that amazing what adding an even darker color will do and how it makes the eye perceive something on your page? I see I accidentally went into the little dot there, but it doesn't matter because that is an easy fix for me. I'm probably just gonna fill them in with Stickles. And it will look amazing. Now see, in the places where I added a little bit more dark, I need to come in here with my mahogany red and I need to kind of pull it down. And then I'm going to come back with my nectar and I'm going to pull it in even more. Look how pretty that is. Now see, I love how this is turning out. And this is probably already quite a long video. So when this mushroom is done, I will share it with you all in the Facebook group so that you could see the final, but I just wanted to share it here with you so you could see while I talk out loud and share my thought process while everything is going down on the page and while I'm coming up with the ideas for any one object. I hope that this video helped you in your coloring venture and gave you some ideas on how you should be laying down your colors. But see how I just keep coming back down in here and I keep adding more of the darkest color. And I will fix that up completely the way that I want it, probably off camera. But I wanted to make this video just to give you an idea. There's my final mushroom and I'm going to finish the top off camera and I will show it to you what I came up with and I'll share it in the Facebook group as soon as it's done. But if you look, when I started out this video and I swatched those three colors, I started out with Mahogany Red, Nectar, and my Deco Peach. I started out with just those three colors, and as I was coloring and I was going slowly, I ended up adding in the cream, and then I ended up adding in the dark purple to make it even bolder and add in more depth and dimension. But there is my mushroom. I will be sharing more with you in the very near future and trying to get some kind of video up for y'all every day so we can make this color along as interactive as possible, and I hope y'all are enjoying all of the videos. I will have all the important videos and the information linked down in the description. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more tutorials, please let me know in the comments. Make sure you subscribe and turn on your bell notification so that you get notified every time I have a new upload. I hope you guys have a fantastic day and happy coloring. Bye!